Hi everybody, it's Adrian here. Welcome back to Write Productively. Today we are going to be building a writing metrics database. Now, I'm not going to go into why you would necessarily need one. I want to kind of really focus on building this and how we're going to do it. If you've been following my other tutorials on Notion, on how to create a writing projects database, which we did here. We went through it and we showed you how to create like all your different projects. We are going to link into this. If you haven't done that, it doesn't matter. I will still show you how to, you can still do the writing metrics. So most importantly, we are in Notion. If you haven't used Notion before, it's a application that is kind of, the way I would describe it is a mix of Notepad meets Excel. And what we are going to be using is the we're going to call this writing metrics. So we've just created add a new page. We're going to call it writing metrics, and we are going to select calendar. Okay, so that is basically what that will give us is the ability to add in our writing metrics for each day. And when we do further tutorials in the next few weeks and so, I'll show you how to have like a daily log and link this in and basically round up all your writing and editing. So this is very much the foundations of how to do it. So what we need to do is we are going to create, let's just do a new template. And we are just going to call that, we'll just call it writing template. Okay, so we are going to, it will automatically give you a few properties already. We'll give you the date and tags. We don't need tags, so we're gonna, rather than delete it and add something back in, we can just change it. This is one of the nice things. So what we are gonna have a type, and we are gonna make that a select. Okay, so you can just populate this as you go, but I much prefer to create these as we're setting it up. We're going to add 2 to this. We're going to create writing, and we're going to create editing. So you can only ever select one. Now, if you're like me and you go, right, editing, I don't like the color of that. What you can do is if you select it and go here, we'll change that to yellow. There we go. So writing and editing. So the next thing we're going to add is we are going to do another select, and this is going to be the genre. And basically, the idea is so you can kind of see what type of writing it is. So you can select this however you want. I find that when I write, I basically have different writing speeds depending on what I'm doing, and I'm going to want to be able to pull that out at some point, maybe in the future. So I'm going to add I call it genre. You might want to call it something else, but what I'm going to add is non-fiction. Okay, so we create non-fiction. We want a blog. When I do blog updates, blog. We also want, if it's a first draft and second draft, they may be slightly different. Again, don't like the color of that one. Gonna change it to green. That'll do. There we go. And the final one I have in mind is script. Okay, So basically, this means that when I come to add something in, I am going to basically choose what type of writing it is. Now, you can set these up however you like. It's just a drop-down list. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to link this to our writing project. Okay. Now, if you haven't done this, you can create this as a text field and just write it in. If you haven't created the writing projects database, I'm going to show you how to link it in. So let's change this to a relation. Select the database. We want the writing projects database. Create relation. So now, hopefully, yeah, if you look in there now, you can see these are all the ones. If you watched the previous video, we created these sort of sample ones. We can link those in there, but we're not going to do that for now because we're doing the template. So we don't want it so that every time we have something new, it's all predefined. You can do that if you want. If you're working on Lord of the Rings, say, J.R. Tolkien, thanks for checking in. And you're going to be working on that for months. You might want to have that as the default, and then just when you finish that project, just change it to something else. But I'm going to leave it blank and we'll select it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a number, and this is going to be the start count. Why do we want our start count? Because some of you will start chapters, will start writing. You may write do 30-minute sprints and things like that. Well, you might not be at the start of something, of a chapter. Your Word file or your Scrivener scene may have words in it already, in which case just put the start count in. And of course we also want a number, the end count. Okay, really pretty straightforward. Okay, so now we need to add some complicated stuff. We're going to add some formulas in here, and the reason we're going to add them is because going forward, this is going to help us with working out how much we're writing, how much we're editing, and also how much time we're spending on different sort of things. But also, most importantly, it's going to allow us, as we build out our system, to have an automatic view of how much we've written this week, this month, this year, everything, without having to do anything. We just fill in this template, the writing metrics, and the systems will basically all link up. We'll eventually link them all up, and basically it will give us a total for how much we've done. So I'm going to have to refer to some of these because let me just do it. So the first one we're going to have is total words. I've done this before, and I am actually going to slightly cheat here in that I am literally looking on another screen what my formula is. Now you can create all sorts of formulas, and I must admit that some of these are easier than others. But this is what we're going to have. So basically the formula here is saying, right, the value of end count and the value of start count, subtract them from each other to give us our total words. Okay, so that will give us our total words. Brilliant, easy, that one. Next data we want to collect is total time. Now when we do this, select formula, it's a formula again. When we put in our time, we have the ability to include both a time and an end time. So what that allows us to do is basically, if what I normally do when I'm writing is, as soon as I start writing, I just write the time at the top. Okay. And what my word count is. I can always, if you miss your word count, you can always just select the text to work out how many words you did, and then it start at 0, finish at 2000 or whatever. doesn't really matter. You don't have to be religious about this. You know, you just want to get the data. So so I kind of capture the time, and I capture the time when I end, and then I enter it in here. So basically what I will do, the way I always do it, is I'll enter the time in here. I'm not going to do it because we're doing a template here. And then the end time, I will then enter it in. So what we want that to do is, once we've done that, we want to be able to work that out. So the formula for that is a little bit more complicated. So, and that, again, I'm going to paste because I'm doing. So basically, we take the property of the date. So the start date, the start of it, and the end of it. So we've got the start of it there, and then we've got the end of it there, and we want to have the date between. So there we go. This formula returns the time between two dates. The last argument unit will be of years, quarters, months, days, hours, minutes, and we want it in minutes. So literally just copy this formula down. Okay. You know, if I'm going a little bit too fast, just go back, pause the video, and just copy it into your formula. Fairly straightforward. Now we can do some really interesting stuff, because the next thing we want to know is what our writing pace is. Now this is really interesting, because what you may find, what I found, for example, if I write for like 2 hours, 3 hours, I can see from, you know, having written for an hour and a half, or 2 hours, I can see that my writing pace slows down. So I know that I'm better off doing more smaller sessions. So this, and I haven't really done any analysis from this, it's just putting it in that I now know, literally every time I do fiction, it's around 1,500 words to 2,000 words an hour. When I do non-fiction, seems to be about 2,500. If I go above 40 minutes, it seems to then start to tail off. If I do lots of writing sessions in a day and go over, say, about it's changing a little bit at the moment because we're coming out of the pandemic, so it's easy. I'm finding it a bit easier to write. But at the moment, if I'm going over 7,000 words in a day, I notice my writing pace drops off. And I've got that data. It's just literally from entering it in. So writing pace, the way that works, that's another little formula. And there we go. So we are going to take the total words, divide it by the total time. It may be the other way around. I did a degree in maths. You'd think I would know these things, but then is it multiply it by 60 or divide it by 60? I don't know. Anyway, the important thing is that what that will give you, if you use that formula there, is it will tell you what your pace is. Now you'll go, well, there's nothing there. I will show that this works a bit later. The reason it's nothing there is because there's no words, no time, nothing. That's fine. So the next ones that we want, and these are going to be used. Oh no, these will be used later on, but this is going to be used for when we roll up into weeks and months and years. We want to know how much we've written, how much we've edited. Okay, so what this is basically doing is just doing a simple calculation. So it's really simple. There may be a smarter way of doing it, but it works. And it basically says, if I've selected, you remember we had the type at the top here? I'll just close that down so you remember. We had the choice between writing or editing. Now, if you put these as anything different, you're going to need to change this formula. But basically, what it says is if the type is writing, then the total words put in here, otherwise put 0. Okay? So And obviously it's 0 because there's total words, but you'll see when that has. And likewise, we want editing. Formula, and then that formula is pretty much the same, but with swapped out for editing. So, you know, if the type is editing, then give the total words, otherwise it's 0. Right. And there we go. That is our template. So let's show how it would work based on what we've created, okay? So let's do this. So we want today, let's do that. Use our writing template. So it's defaulting to editing. We want that as writing. So let's say we have written Lord of the Rings today, yeah. Rings chapter 1. You can do it how this title is just, it will show, if you can just about make it out there, it will show in your list. It's up to you, you know, what you want to call this. You know, you might want to say Frodo finds the ring. I don't know. You know, you can call it however you want to do it. So let's just say Lord of the Rings chapter 1. Sometimes, you know, I just do is I just go, yeah, I've worked on Lord of the Rings today. So that we've basically written it. So we're going to take writing. It's a first draft that we're doing. We click on there for our writing project. We got the list up. Now, if you have loads of writing projects, it might not come up automatically. In which case, just start writing, and there we go. It will kind of search for it. So, Lord of the Rings. Okay. We started at 1115 today. Notice already, okay, so now we haven't got an end count, so it's thinking it's 0, so it thinks that we've actually lost words at the moment, which is not good. But that's okay. But you'll notice, because we have that as writing, it appears there. That figure is taken into there. Now, if we change that to editing, look, it changes to the editing column. So let's make the end count 2215. Okay, so we've written 1100 words. Right, total time. What do we know as our total time? Well, we need to put it in here. So let's say we started writing at 10 a.m. Okay, and then we finished at 10:30. Now, the reason I do it this way instead of that way is because of a feature of Notion. If you just select the time, if you don't select the time, if you have a thing, both of those values will be 12 a.m. If I start here and I put 10 a.m. right, and then click that one, the second one becomes 10 a.m. as well. So it just becomes a little bit quicker to enter. So 10:36. We did it for 30 minutes, okay? So there we go. You can see that we now know our writing pace. For that green there, that's 1833 and a third. You could possibly put some extra formula in there to make that a little bit neater. I personally just, you know, after a while, if you do this every day, you are going to know, you're going to see very, very quickly that you're going to see what your rates are. You're just going to build a picture from it. And then you're going to notice when you're having a bad day, because you'll have some days when you're struggling. You'll just go, oh, I didn't feel like I got any words done or things. It was a real struggle today. And your writing pace isn't off at all. Your mind's playing tricks on you. Other times, you can see like, oh, my writing pace is really down. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I haven't planned my chapter correctly, or there's something else I need to work on. So that is fairly straightforward. So there we go. So what we can now do is a little extra aside is we are going to go, let me just bring it up on my other screen because I want to look like I know it automatically what I'm doing, rather than having spent like weeks trying to work out these formulas. So what we can now do is if we go back into our writing projects database and let me find one. Right, so what we are going to do, we are going to add, you'll notice that we've suddenly got an extra field here which says related to writing, Lord of the Rings here. And what that actually is the record that we've just put in. It's like a backlink to it. But what we're going to do is we are going to add 2 new properties in. Total written and total edited. Now these took me a little bit of time to figure out. So it is, so what the type is, a roll up. So the relation will be writing metrics, okay? The property we want is written, okay? So remember we said we created that to basically feed it up. We're also going to feed this into our project so we can see how many words we've done on things. And we are going to do, we select sum here. So there we go. You can see that we have got 1100 there. So let's do the same for edited. We want to change that into a roll up, and it is writing metrics database. And it's editing this time. Is it editing or edited? Let me just double check because we edited. No, it is. I've called it editing in this one. I've called it edited in mine. There we go. And we select sum. So you're going to see that that's 0 there. Okay. Just to show you, we are going to let's do another Lord of the Rings session. Okay, we are going to edit that. We are going to have first draft. We're going to do it to Lord of the Rings. You can see how you can kind of rush through this. 0 to 2220, whatever it is. Time. Let's do 11 to 1150. Okay. So there we go. Oh, we select editing. Let's change that to writing. There we go. So our writing pace is a lot better there, we notice. Right, but most importantly, if we go back to Lord of the Rings, we'll see that it's added it all up. Now, another little thing to add on. This is the final little thing that we're gonna do today. We are gonna do total time. So you can actually get now, basically, without having to kind of, other than just literally filling out that metrics entry, you can basically get your how long a project has taken you. So you can start to build data to go, do you know what, this was an 80,000 word novel, took me 9 months, but actually only took me 80 hours to write. So you can then get a better idea of kind of your managing your projects. So again, writing metrics, we want total time, and we want a sum. There we go. So we have written 3,320 words on this project. You can see, look, there's the individual sessions. And it's taken us 86 minutes so far. So as you can see, you're starting to build. We haven't even started building like your daily checklist, your weekly checklist. We haven't even done any of that kind of organizational stuff. but already within 2 sessions, you're basically collecting some really handy data there. And as you could see, like, you know, let's do Lord of the Rings. We're going to have editing this time. It is first draft, writing project. You know, this is not taking us an awful lot of time to fill out. You know, it's literally, you'll get really used to it. I can literally do it in sort of a literally do it within a couple of minutes. 5, let's take the PM. See, this is where it gets handy when you do the first, because otherwise you've got to change the PM. So let's make it 57. Okay. We've got another writing session. Oh, look at our writing pace there. Wow. Don't we all wish we could write that fast? But then when we go back to, you can see the total time we've spent on this is 108 minutes. We've written 3,320 words. We've edited 2,292 words. So, as I say, very basic, very straightforward. You know, the difficulty is knowing the formulas. Once you know the formulas, which I've given you there, you know, just go back and think. It is really easy to set up, and it's really easy to run, and it gives you a ton of data. And it's going to be even more helpful when we start building like our weekly and monthly goals and things like that. It's gonna really blow your mind. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you again next time for some more tips on how you can write productively. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.